Hello everyone and welcome to another video where I'm going to show you another attacking game. And again, the reason why I chose this game is because in this game we will see white make a decisive mistake in the very opening, and this is a short game, and as you can see it's a costly mistake in the closed Sicilian. It's a game between Pacman with the white pieces and Nadjorf with the black pieces. And the reason why I'm showing you this game is because from the opening black gets a decisive advantage because white makes a mistake, and black grabs his opportunity to attack, and he eventually succeeds. So let us go into this game. This was a close Sicilian game, and over here, I mean, bishop g2. This is again an opening which is very common. It's a very common way of developing. Yes, d3 is a sideline of the Sicilian, but our aim here is not to deep dive into the opening. So this is a common setup that is played many times, and over here black played an interesting move, that is the move bishop to g4. Now over here black wants to attack the white queen, and also he wants to try and put some pressure on the white king. And over here the best way to actually continue for white is to play the move f3. I mean, yes, the move f3 is that black wants to provoke a weakness in the king side, but f3 is actually a very playable move because after, let's say, a move like bishop to d7, now white can actually play knight to e2 castle, and very soon play the move f4 and bring the pawn in the attack. But in the game, pawn to f3 was not played, and the move that was played was knight e2. And this is also not a very bad move, but this move instantly allows the black knight to jump into d4 and put some pressure on the e2 square. Now f3 is not possible, of course, because the bishop and knight are hitting the f3 square. So over here, the best way to continue was to play the pawn to h3 and try and remove the bishop. Now over here, after h3, again knight f3 check is not possible because after knight f3 check, white does not take it but plays the move king to f1. Now this bishop is under attack. If you go to h5 trying to defend the knight, g4, and now you just you hang a piece over here. So knight f3 is not possible. And also if you go bishop f3, now white can simply go and castle and say that when you take my bishop on g2, I will take it with the king, and the king is not that weak. The king looks pretty solid, and this is very much playable for white. But in the game, what happened was after the move knight to d4, white immediately went for the move castle. And guys, this is actually a decisive mistake in the game. Castling was not the best move here, and over here after castling, what happens was that black immediately gets the move knight to f3 check. Now of course you don't want to take on f3, or you cannot take on f3 because after bishop takes f3, now black is having great ideas. As you can see, this knight on e2 is pinned, and white is going to take a lot of time to try and unpin this knight and get his pieces into the attack. Black immediately has ideas of queen d7, queen h3, even there are ideas of h5, h4, and this is like black is going to rip apart the white's defense. So after knight f3 check, the move that was played was king to h1. Now over here black does not stop. Black continues attacking and he plays the move pawn to h5. So now you can see with this knight on f3, bishop on g4, if black can open up the h file somehow, like let's say if this rook is also open, so black is going to launch a crazy attack, and white will have a very difficult time trying to defend this position. So that is why black is trying to go all out and is trying to open up this file. Now over here after h5, let's say if white plays a move like bishop e3, now this is already not that good because now black can directly go h4. And note that over here h3 is not possible because black has a beautiful move queen to d7. Now the idea of queen to d7 is, of course, you can never take this bishop, because if you take this bishop, now pawn takes h3 comes with check, and bishop h6, h3 is the only move. Now you take on h3 with check. The king has to come here, rook h2 check. Now no matter whether you take the pawn on g3 or the knight on f3, queen g queen g4 is coming with a checkmate. So after the move pawn to h5, bishop e3 is too slow and is not working for white. And if he goes immediately with the move pawn to h4, over here black actually has a beautiful idea. First of all, black plays the move pawn to e5. Now why is this move very important? Because this move actually limits white's developing options. For example, with this move pawn to e5, this knight cannot come to f4, the bishop cannot come to f4, and over here black's idea is very simple. Black wants to get his knight to h7. Black wants to play a move like g5, and you know what, he's going to open up the h file, and this position is completely dominating for black, and black is going to have a great game over here, whereas white is going to struggle the entire game. So after the move pawn to h5, white played the move pawn to h3. Now over here we have already understood that you don't need to remove the bishop because this is never an option, because if you take, the h file opens up and there's going to be a mate. So over here Nadjorf plays a beautiful move pawn to e5. As we said, he's limiting white's developing options. You can never take this bishop on g4 because if you take it, h4 comes with a check. Bishop h3 is the only move, and after this is just a checkmate in the h file. So after the move pawn to e5, white, over here you can already see that white has very less options. White is actually struggling to find moves. So over here he played the move knight to d5, trying to exchange some pieces, and after the trading of pieces over here, you know, black over here continues with the idea queen to d7. Now he is threatening to take on the pawn on h3, and white is under a lot of pressure. So in this position, white played the move knight to c3. Now he is attacking the knight on f3. So you cannot take the pawn on h3 because if you take this pawn, then you're suddenly losing the knight on f3. So over here, once again, you might be thinking as black that you can play some moves like knight to h2, doing some discovery, but this is not actually good for black because after h takes g4 and let's say h takes g4, you can play king g1, and now this position becomes very complicated. This is now actually not clear for black, and honestly this is not required. So after the move knight to c3, knight h2 looks, uh, it looks like very tempting to go and win the exchange, but it is actually not working. Oops, I mean, yeah, and over here if you directly take, sorry, over here if you directly take the knight on, you take the rook on f1, this is also not very clear. And over here now suddenly white is better because after queen f1, h g4 check, king g1, and now suddenly it is white who seems to be better because all the problems are solved. And so that is why it is important to understand that over here knight h2 is not the best way to play. Instead, I think what black played, and this move, I mean, you all will enjoy this move. Black Nadjorf over here actually plays the move queen to f5. Now this is such a great move because now he's defending the knight on f3, and you can see white's position is close to paralyzed. White has no move. You cannot take on f3 because bishop f3 comes with a check. You lose the queen, and we have already discussed that you cannot take this bishop because if you take this bishop, this just leads to a checkmate. Again, like always, whenever the h file opens up, white is in for huge trouble. So queen f5 is actually such a beautiful move that now you can see white is close to paralyzed and white has very little options. So after this move, queen to f5, white played a move like bishop e3, just playing a developing move. And over here, Nadjorf does not stop. He says that in this position, he plays the move pawn to h4. Now over here, it is important to note that you cannot take this pawn on h4, because if white takes the pawn on h4, then there is simply rook h4. Now the h file has opened up. There is no way how he can stop bishop h3, and this is just completely winning, and there is no defense for white. And also after h4 you cannot take the bishop. You cannot take the bishop on g4. And yes, you all have guessed it right, because now you take h takes g3 check. The rook has opened up, and after bishop h3, you can over here play anything, like even rook takes h3 comes with a mate. You can even take on g4, and this is just crushing for black. And there is a mate soon to follow. There's a forced mate over here, like no, king g2 is the only move, and the fastest way to mate is actually to go knight to h4 check, king g1, and now you take the bishop on h3. Knight f3 is coming with a mate, and there is just nothing that white can do to stop it. So in this position, after pawn to h4, white actually played his last defense, or his last trick. He played the move knight to e4. Now over here, I actually want you to calculate and understand why over here it looks very tempting that you take the pawn on g3, opening up the h file, and after f takes g3, you all must be wondering, yeah, let's just follow the same plan. You know what? Rook h3 check, bishop h3, queen h5. We have opened the h file. But guys, this is the moment where I want you to pause the video and try to find the best defense for white. There is one move that completely, changes the position. And in this position, if you found the move knight to g5, then kudos to you, because knight g5 just controls everything. Now the point over here is, after knight g5, if you take on the bishop on h3, white rooks comes and takes your knight on f3, and now this position, white is actually better, because now you have given up too much material, and now it is white who is winning, and this is of course a very complicated position. Alternatively, after knight to g5, if you take the knight on g5, this opens up the queen's diagonal, and now queen takes g4, and now white suddenly is up too much on material, and white is now winning. So over here, after the move knight to e4, it is important to understand that h takes g3 is not coming instantly. So over here, the move that Nadjorf played was a beautiful move, and you will love this. It is these small subtle moves that separate the best from the rest. So over here, Nadjorf plays the move bishop to e7. And why this is such a beautiful move? Because now knight to g4, g5, he is stopping the defensive idea of white. And over here again, it is the same situation where white is now hopeless. Black now is going to continue with the same idea. H takes g3, trying to open up the h file, and white now has no resources. White is completely hopeless, and he has no moves. So in this position, he played the move pawn to c4. Now also one more thing, guys, which I forgot to tell you, is that after after the move bishop e7, I mean, okay, I mean, sorry, that comes later. I mean, after c4, black plays the move h takes g3. Now, what I was saying is, over here, white cannot take it with the knight, because if you play knight takes g3, I am sure all of you must have already come up with the answer. Now you can take on h3, rook takes h3 with a check, and after bishop takes h3, the beautiful little move queen to h7. You are now going to take on h3, and mate is unavoidable in this position. So after c4, when you take the pawn on h3, you cannot take it with the knight, so f takes g3 is forced. But this again, leads to nowhere. Black is completely winning. Black continues his idea. Rook takes h3 check, bishop h3, and now the beautiful little move queen to h5. And as you can see, the bishop on h3 is falling, mate is coming soon, and in this position, white played the move queen to a4 check, king f8. He played rook takes f3, queen takes h3 check, and now after king g1, bishop f3, white resigned the game, because there is a checkmate coming on g2. The The only way to defend this is to play the move queen to c2, but this also leads to nowhere because you have queen h1 check, king f2, queen g2 check, and the least minimum is that black is going to win the white queen and black is completely winning the game. So yes guys, this was a short game, and the reason I decided to show you this game is because this was a beautiful attacking game. And given that we are already doing this playlist on how to attack, the fundamentals of attacking, so this is why I decided to show you this game, and I love this game because I mean this is a perfect example of how you can punish your opponent right from the opening when he makes a mistake. So let us quickly understand the takeaways from this game. Well, I mean, when I saw this game, the first move that actually impressed me was the move knight to d4. I mean, of course, over here it was important for white to play f3, but after he did not play f3, knight d4, he's already starting to put in some pressure. And over here, castling, which was the decisive mistake. And over here, when you look at a position like this, it seems that, castling is not that bad. And it is one of the normal moves or an obvious moves that you would see. And now black immediately jumps in with knight f3. You cannot take the knight, and then after king h1, h5. And the move that I actually liked the most was one of the moves was this move pawn to e5. It's a very subtle move, not allowing the white's pieces to develop, and slowly and steadily you see black is able to paralyze the white side. And over here he has no moves, and after this move again queen d7, putting more pressure, knight c3, and another beautiful move that he played was queen f5. He's just holding, he's putting all the pressure in the white side, and he's not in a rush, he's not in a rush to play the move to h4 and stuff. And after this move, bishop e3, h4, and after white plays this move knight e4, black is not in a rush, he's not in a rush to take the pawn on g3 or stuff. He calculates everything, guys. Calculation is very important when you come to attacking. Calculation and tactics, we have already discussed that. And this move bishop e7, black calculates all the lines, and he finds that he sees white's defensive resource knight g5. He blocks it with bishop e7, and now white is paralyzed. White has no moves to play, and after a move like c4, now he continues the attack because all the defenses have been stopped. And over here, this is just losing on the spot. So guys, this was a game that I loved a lot, and I really enjoyed. So guys, do let me know if you enjoyed the game, and if you did enjoy the game, guys, then please do like the video, do subscribe to the channel, and in the comments you can send us any particular game that you have enjoyed recently and that you want us to showcase. That would also be great. So guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon with another video where we will look at another great game, another one of the classics like this one, Pacman versus Nadjorf, played in the year 1955. And guys, these classics, they help us so much. They help so much to learn chess, to understand the fundamentals. And I hope you guys enjoyed this game as much as I did. So I will see you soon in the next video. Bye guys, take care.